In all the years of tree care, one of the biggest things that I found with beginning climbers is the fear of heights. We're going to talk about some ways to reduce the fear and go over some of the things you should do to prepare yourself to climb. Let's get to it. So I think a good way to help curb your mind is to know that the gear that you're going to use, tree climbing saddles, they're all rated for life support, and they're really rated at about 5,400 pounds and greater. So that's something huge, and to become comfortable with it. And also in the ropes that you're going to be using, the ropes are also rated at thousands of pounds. And then you'll want to know or learn different friction hitches. We have a lot of lists of friction hitches that you can go over. Today we're not going to do that. We're just going to talk about ways to learn how to feel more comfortable. So you could, on the description below, there'll be some links where you could see tutorials on hitches and some of the other things that we cover in this video. So to know how to feel comfortable with this, what we'll do in a second, we'll get on the ground and I'll put the gear on and I'll show you a few things that you can do on the ground. With all of the tree climbing gear, it's important that you go over and how to inspect it. And in doing that, when you're learning about the different gear and all their capacities, it's going to help you be less afraid when you're putting your body weight on it and you're up in the tree, because it's your life. So learn how to inspect, especially the saddle, the friction hitches, and the gear. So, and doing that, for sure, you'll be a little bit more comfortable when you get to the tree. Another thing that you have to do is understand how to inspect a tree. It's real important. You don't want to climb a tree that's weak. Okay, so if you're seeing a lot of rot in the base, that could be a scary thing. Also, you'll want to look at the tree and look for the signs of weakness. So if you're going to go under a tree, don't just go to any tree. Learn how to inspect. We also do have a video on that, and there'll be a link in the description below, something that's important to do. You'll be more confident once you do those few things. Now that you understand the capabilities and the strength of your gear, you understand about the tree and what to look for. Now it's about you and the gear. You'll want to know friction hitches. There's so many you can choose from. So you pick the one that you like and learn how to tie it. And we have something called low and slow. That's where you practice low to the ground and slow. Take your time. You don't want to do something and go way high up in the tree and find out what you thought you learned you didn't, and then you tumble out of the tree. That's not something you need to worry about. Basically, as a beginner, you want to take your time. You want to make sure everything you do is precise so you don't have an incident. So sometimes when you have a friction hitch, so say you have it and you're going to lean back. So once you get it set up, you'll lean back. Now what you want to have happen is for it not to creep on you. So make sure when you tie it that it's solid. Okay. If you're moving upward and you say body thrust and now you set and it slides on you, or you have to grip your knot, that's not proper. Your knot should, when you're moving forward and you come off on it and put your weight on its own, it should catch. So if you're on the ground and you're setting it up and you're having to manipulate your hitch, it's not correct. You got to learn your knot properly. You don't need to be grabbing your hitch. If you're grabbing it, for sure it's not right. There could be something, if you go up in the tree and you don't grab it, it could slide on you and that could be an incident. So make sure you get all that prepared, learning all the different termination knots or whatever you're going to be using. So what I'll do right now is something called an on-rope test. That's where you get your feet off the ground and you see if your friction hitch works. So that's important to do, especially as you're learning. Go up a couple of feet. All right. You see how it's holding? That's what you want. And now, at the same time, since I'm here, I'm going to kick off the tree and kind of get used to how the saddle's holding me. You see, I'm not falling or sliding. I don't have to hold the knot. It's actually doing what it's supposed to do. So when you're on the ground, good idea to fill that. Okay, so also what you can do to prepare yourself, like you're doing a limb walk, you pull on it, you're gonna notice that you have a tie-in point and you're gonna push away from your tie-in point. That's gonna help you keep in balance. It's gonna take more weight off the branch and it'll lead to you not falling. So the next thing we'll do is go up in the tree and do the same thing, but I'll give you some extra hints while I'm there. Now that we reached a section of the tree, it's not really super high in the air. It's a good idea to start getting comfortable with your lanyard. So what happens a lot of time, well, a lanyard's really important. It's a second point of connection. So here's your lifeline, and you can see how I'm leaning back on my lifeline. It's a strong branch, and my gear is all in good condition. I've tied all the knots that I need, so I know I'm not going to go anywhere. So sometimes what happens when people put a lanyard on, okay, so you put a lanyard on, and then what sometimes they tend to do is want to hold the tree. You know, when you get up, when you're looking down, it looks kind of scary. But when you're holding a tree like this, it knocks you off balance. So if you have a tie-in points above you and you're leaning forward, you could lean toward the tree. So if you put your lanyard on, make use of it. Now it's here, now it's going to be weighted here. You lean back on it, right? You get used to how it feels. But now you have this point of connection and you have this point of connection. So really you're secure. You're not going to go anywhere. These are all rated high levels of pounds. So, you know, that's something to remember. So now that you're here, kind of get used to moving around even with a lanyard. So I'm just going to move over this way a little, you know, walk back a little on this branch. I feel comfortable. I'm not going to fall. Now that you kind of feel comfortable with the lanyard, let's take it off. And then maybe do a small swing. It doesn't have to be a big swing. Something really small will work. Okay? So right here, I'm just going to lean out a little. Right here. All right. Now, I'm kind of like when I was on the ground and I was pushing away. I'm so close to my tie-in, I'm not going to go anywhere. You can push, maybe lean over a little. Get used to this kind of movement. You see, I'm not going anywhere. Oops. And then lean back. Lean back, lean back. Now you see how you have a point of connection and I'm leaning back on it. So if I go a little bit more, hit it. There we go, a little bit more. Now I'm not going to fall in that direction. So those are some good ways that you can get used to your saddle. Having a low tie-in point, working your way up the tree, learning the different aspects of the gear that you're using, and then just going up the tree and kind of just moving around a bit, you know, float. You know, once you feel more comfortable, looking down is not going to be so bad. Now that I dropped down a little bit lower, you see where I was at? I was really close to my tie-in, so I really couldn't swing out very far. So what I'll do is I've gone down a few more feet, maybe about 5 more feet, and I'll swing out so I can get a little bit more of a feel of being a little bit further away from the tree. One good thing to point out is that the tie-in that I chose, it's a huge beefy tie-in point. It's something that could probably hold 20 of me. You want to make sure that you learn more about the trees that you're going to climb before you just go out and do it. Okay, so now I'm going to jump out a bit. All right, now it's the same thing as me being on the ground. I can swing, I'm not going to fall. I feel real comfortable about going away from the tree and coming back. The equipment's going to do its job, and now I don't have to be afraid of falling. Even though I'm flying a little bit away from the tree, I'm still coming back, and it's not hard enough for me to bang up against the tree. So getting used to the tree and how you move is real important to make yourself feel comfortable, especially when you're getting a little bit higher off the ground. Alrighty, here I go. Maybe. All right, back down to the ground. When you're first beginning to climb, it can be a very scary thing to get up off the ground and of any height. But just know that when you're doing this and you start learning the different equipment, the equipment that is in tree care can hold thousands of pounds. So it's really safe. Also, getting to know the different types of tree strength and maybe tie-in points would be huge. And having those basic ideas and the different friction hitches and the one that you like, being able to tie them, that's huge because it's not going to be unsafe if you pick and do those things. So there's no shame in doing it really low to the ground. You're brand new at this. If you're feeling uneasy, learn the technique on the ground. Get familiar with it. Do it like you can do it with your eyes closed. And then once you get to those points, now you move up a little higher. And now once you get higher, and then you do some of that testing out. You know, you fill your gear, get used to swinging out a little bit. It doesn't have to be high. You could be a foot off the ground. You could throw in high to a tree and just be off the ground and scoot around like a swing till you get used to it. And know that if you're on the ground and it's holding you, you know, if you pick a really good tie-in point, it's going to hold you there. You're not going to come undone, providing all your gear is in good condition and you got the proper gear. So I hope this has been a benefit to you. Comment, like, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you like what we do. And by all means, share our videos. Take care. We'll see you next time.